Let's speak to the Secretary of State for Wales, TC Davies. Good to see you this afternoon. There's an obesity crisis. What is wrong with the Welsh Government taking this action to try and help people's health?
Well, the answer to an obesity crisis is actually to give people more education about what food is healthy and what isn't and what you can cook. It's not to simply say that we're going to stop supermarkets from discounting food or giving people a meal deal. I mean, lots of us take advantage of meal deals. I do. I use one in Tesco's all the time outside of Westminster, £3.49 with my club card, and I can have a sandwich.
Well, they say they're not doing away with them completely, are they? They're going to change
you'll be able
what
to
they're
have
made up
an
of.
apple or something like that instead of a packet of crisps. And there's no certainty, actually, you'll be able to have a sandwich or even the pasta dishes because they're talking about how much salt and sugar, and so it all depends on the details. But basically, the traditional meal deal, as we all know it, is a sandwich, packet of crisps or a chocolate bar and a drink, a coffee. Sometimes some do coffees. I know which supermarkets do and don't. I'm an expert on meal deals.
But just because it's tradition, David, doesn't mean it shouldn't change, does it?
Hang on a minute. Why shouldn't people be able to choose what they have in their meal deal? I mean,
because if there's an obesity crisis, then that's going to put pressure on the health service. So it's got all these wider ramifications.
No, I mean, well, first of all, they're only talking about doing this in supermarkets. So, for example, McDonald's will still be able to offer a meal deal themselves, which is fine, by the way. I like McDonald's as well, and nothing wrong in that. But it's actually going to funnel people away from the supermarket into McDonald's and other places. I'll tell you one place it isn't going to impact on. It's the Senedd, where they're offering a full cooked breakfast with sausage, beans, bacon and hot buttered toast for £3.90, so about the same standard price as a meal deal. They're not going to be affected because it's not going to impact on restaurants and things. So, you know, there's a lot of hypocrisy about this. Let people choose. That's what I say. Give people the education, but let them choose. Because if the Welsh Labour government, they are going to go ahead and do this, they're going to almost double the price of those of having, say,
well, it'll still be the Senedd having to vote on it. They're not going to impose this. It will be a vote in the Senedd, even they might be eating their full-fat breakfast at the time. But look, let me put the figures to you when you talk about, you know, not actually addressing the situation directly. 60% of adults in Wales are above a healthy weight or overweight. A quarter of children starting school by the time they get to school where they are classed as obese, a 40% increase in those suffering type 2 diabetes. There is clearly, as Gemma Roberts from Obesity Alliance Cymru says, an obesity crisis in the world.
Well, one of the answers to that, of course, is more exercise. I mean, I train every day. I'm absolutely...
But people haven't got time to do that, have they?
People, yeah, you can...
They're trying to work more hours during this cost of living crisis.
Well, the cost of living crisis is going to be made worse by almost doubling the price of having a couple of, a snack at lunchtime. Basically, most meal deals are pretty all right, I think. Packet of crisps.
Well, are they? Because you will know that there are many, many reports suggesting that sugary carbonated drinks, for instance, lead directly to an increase in diabetes.
I tell you what, let's put the information out there and let people decide. I mean, we're adults, right? Surely we can decide for ourselves what's healthy and what isn't. Who are the Welsh Labour government to turn around and say, you can't have a packet of crisps with your sandwich or a chocolate bar or a can of Coke? I mean, you know, we're not talking about heroin or cocaine here. We're talking about allowing adults to make an informed decision for themselves as to what they can and cannot eat. And it really rankles when the same Senedd members who are passing this legislation are able to tuck into bacon, egg and toast, hot buttered toast.
Well, at the moment, I mean, might you put a motion forward to actually address what's being delivered in the Senedd restaurant? I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe that's your way to...
I'm actually pleasantly surprised. It's not some sort of vegan-orientated menu in the Welsh Senedd. I mean, that is good news. It's great for Welsh farmers that pork, bacon and beans are being offered in there. So I don't want to have a go at that. I just want everyone else in Wales to have the same right to make an informed decision about what they eat.
But you will know there are supermarkets elsewhere in England particularly who have actually agreed to take chocolate and things away from the checkout, where children obviously badger mum and dad as the trolley's waiting to go through the checkout.
Yeah, right. I mean, and that's the difference, isn't it? Because adults should be able to make an informed choice as to what they are and are not going to eat. But we all know, I mean, many of us, I've got kids, I'm sure many of us have got kids, we all know that there is sort of pest to power when you're queuing up at the till there. So I can understand that. But that's not banning things. That's just making life a bit easier for hard-pressed parents. But if the parents still want to go and buy a bar of chocolate for their child, they can. And
we should just add, we don't know specifically yet what's the suggestion as to what will be banned. I mean, we know that there's obviously this plan to come into place, I think, by 2025.
But we know that it's going to be meal deals, as we know. The traditional
products
meal
high
deal.
in fat,
we know it,
sugar and salt.
By their definition. And what I would say is, if they're serious about getting more exercise, let's have a look at some of the health and safety regulations in school that stops kids from running around and playing bulldog and things like that, because or having snowball fights, because anecdotally I've been told that's a problem in some schools. Let people do exercise. But don't tell adults what they can or cannot eat. It's not the role of government to start doing that.